Let's learn about Red Data Book and Red List of IUCN. Red Data Book is a book published from Switzerland by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources IUCN, now termed World Conservation Union. It is a comprehensive inventory or document of the details about the extinction risk and survival status of the threatened animals and plants all over the world. The list of extinct, near-threatened and threatened species of organisms recorded in the Red Data Book is called Red List of Organisms. Three categories such as the extinct species, near-threatened species and threatened species. These are the categories included in the Red List of Organisms. Red List is not simply a list of catalog of threatened species, but is rather a comprehensive narration of almost all aspects of the threatened species. It provides information about the locality of the threatened species, the magnitude of the threat they face, the ecological requirements they demand, and the conservation strategies to be adopted to avoid their extinction. Red List system of the IUCN began in 1963 for the evaluation of the extinction risk and survival prospect of species and subspecies. It makes use of certain criteria which are relevant to all species of all regions of the world. Red List is significant in that it seeks to make the public and the policymakers well informed of the gravity, urgency and seriousness of the conservation problems, and to arouse the awareness about the dwindling of biodiversity and its consequences. Above all, the Red List Index RLI serves as an eloquent reminder or indicator of the extinction risk of several species. Red List Index. The Red Data Book was first published in 1966 by Special Survival Commission of the IUCN. The book has pink-colored and green-colored pages. Pink pages contain the list of critically endangered species which are on the verge of extinction. Green pages contain a list of the species which were formerly endangered but have now recovered and are no longer threatened. In the Red List of IUCN, organisms are grouped under 9 categories based on their current population size. Organisms are grouped under 9 categories are there based on their current population size, pace of dwelling or decline, range of distribution, fragmentation and segregation in distribution. The 9 RL Red List categories are then the following, which are based on their current population size, pace of dwelling or decline, range of distribution, fragmentation and segregation in distribution, etc. First category is the extinct species, the species whose members have become long extinct, leaving no living representative anywhere. Next category is the species extinct in the wild. Living representatives are altogether absent in the natural habitat but are present in captivity in zoos, arboreta, domestication, cultivation, etc., or are living in small areas well outside the natural range. Next one is the CR, that is the critically endangered species. Members are at the highest risk of immediate extinction in the wild. There is more than 50% probability of extinction in 5 years. Next is the endangered species. Members are at high risk of extinction in the wild in the near future. There is 20% probability of extinction in 20 years. In the case of critically endangered species, there is more than 50% chance for extinction in the near 5 years. But in case of endangered species, 20% probability of extinction in near 20 years. Vulnerable species, VU. Members are highly endangered in the wild and are at the risk of extinction in a moderately distant future. There is a 10% probability of extinction in 10 years. Next is the near threatened species. Members are likely to become endangered in the near future. Least concerned species. Members are at the lowest risk of endangerment and they enjoy wide and dense distribution. Next is the data deficient species. Enough data are not available to assess the risk of endangerment or extinction. Data sufficient species, which is similar to indeterminate category, which we have learned earlier in my previous videos. Next is the not evaluated species. The risk of endangerment has not been evaluated. Of the 9 categories of the red list categories, some fall under the broad group of threatened species. Threatened plants are introduced and included in the first 6 categories. Euphorbia mayurnathani family Euphorbiaceae was once endemic to the Palakkad Pass in Kerala, but now it is believed to have become extinct in the wild. Although it still survives under domestication, this species was described in 1940 based on 3 old specimens then growing on the rocky edges of a hill in Palashana. It is presumed that the climate of this region was much drier sometime before, and this previously xerophytic plant might have flourished there. Extensive combing researches in recent days have never been fruitful to locate a new specimen in the wild. This is a case of extinct in the wild. The red list of IUCN is revised and updated every year. It projects a dark picture of the survival status of many species all over the world and also reveals that the threat of species endangerment is fast increasing. In the red list of the year 2000, there are many threatened species. Out of this, 925 species of animals and 1014 species of plants are critically endangered. According to the red list, the threatened Indian species include 244 species of plants and 215 species of animals. Of this, 44 plants species and 18 animal species are critically endangered. 113 plant species and 54 animal species are endangered, and 87 plant species and 143 animal species are vulnerable. As per the list released on 17/6/2011, there are many threatened species, most of which are vulnerable.